Today we're going to learn a technique to create value, and that is called hatching. I have an example of hatching here, but I will be showing you how to create value using hatching. Hatching simply means building up straight lines over and over, putting them closer together to create a darker value, and spreading them a little farther apart to create intermediate and light values. And that's basically it. Straight lines that build up. When you do hatching, all the lines are the same direction, and I'll show you how you use this on an actual object. For example, I have a circle. Right now it's just a circle. I'm going to turn it into a sphere. I'm going to use a value to make it look three-dimensional. Imagine there's a light source over here, and the sun is coming down. It's creating a very light region here. Normally I wouldn't draw the circle, but so you can see what's happening, I'm going to know that this is the highlight, the brightest spot. Let's label that. Highlight. All right, then it slowly gets darker and darker as the light moves and bends around the objects. So first I start with some light hatching here, and I know that I'm going to use pencil so I can erase it or cover it up later. I know there's certain zones on my value sphere. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different zones. We already talked about the highlight. In these two areas, we have what are known as the midtones. They're sort of in the middle tone, so they're going to be right around here in the middle of the value scale. Then we have the darkest part of our sphere, which is called the core shadow. Down here, this tiny little region is known as reflected light. And we'll draw this in first with pencil. This little shape down here is going to be the cast shadow. That's the shadow you typically think of when you're standing on the playground and you see a giant human form coming from you. That is your cast shadow. So how we build this value sphere up with hatching. First, my lines are going to be pretty far apart here. As I move into the midtones, I'm going to first lay down a layer to sort of guide my value. And I'm just going to add a few more lines in this area, in this zone, to make it look darker. All right, moving on to the next area, the core shadow. This is the darkest part of my object, of my value sphere. So I'm going to go over and over, bring those lines closer and closer together to create a darker value. Okay, and the very last region, that reflected light, is going to be slightly less dark than my core shadow because there's a little bit of light from the surface bouncing back up. and lightening my object just a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna look and I'm gonna see. I think I need a little bit darker mid-tone. Looks a little too, there's too much separation here. So I'm just gonna go back, darken up my mid-tones a little bit. Takes a lot of build-up of lines. And I'm wishing I wouldn't have drawn that circle in marker because it kind of creates a flatness and a separation, but it's okay. There's that. Next, I'm going to go to my cast shadow. I'm going to follow the same direction of the lines I used up at the top, but I'm just going to make sure they get really dark, because the cast shadow is, again, the shadow you typically think about. It's very dark, and it blends away as it goes towards the edges. It sort of disappears on us, fades away. All right, and there you have an example of hatching.